All right, well, you already had a brief chance to meet Mike, but let me give you his actual formal introduction. Mike currently serves as the director for the Student Multicultural Center at Kent State University. He came to KSU in 2015. Prior to here, he earned his bachelor's degree from John Carroll University in psychology. He earned his master's degree from Michigan State University in student affairs. And he's currently working towards his PhD here at Kent State in higher education administration, where he has to put up with fellow students like me, meaning that he clearly deserves some sort of extra recognition. As the director of our Student Multicultural Center, Mike oversees the Summer Bridge Program, cultural orientation, cultural pre-commencement, the creation and implementation of a mentorship program, and the Men of Color Initiative. He's helped to establish the inaugural SMC Leadership Institute to develop student leaders around mentorship, leadership, cultural awareness, and social justice. Mike's passion to promote the success of men of color allowed for him to secure a $10,000 grant from the Steve and Marjorie Harvey Foundation. This grant was awarded for the life-changing work with Male Empowerment Network at KSU. This program has received national recognition while under Mike's supervision, where it was featured on the Steve Harvey Show as a vehicle to support 8 young men who received full scholarships to attend Kent State. Additionally, Mike led a campaign to raise an additional $10,000 for this initiative. Mike also serves as an adjunct faculty member of the School of Communication. He's deservedly received numerous accolades, recognitions, and awards locally, regionally, and nationally. And in 2020, he was the recipient of the Kent State University President's Award of Distinction. Beyond his experience in higher ed, Mike proudly serves his community as a committee member for the Cuyahoga Falls Downtown Partnership. He also enjoys serving as a volunteer and mentoring youth and youth development programs. It is my distinct pleasure to have our Rotary Club welcome Mike Daniels.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Todd. I appreciate it. And thank you all for having me. I'm excited to be here. Happy 100th year anniversary to you all and the service that you do within the community in Kent. And I know, through the work that Todd does just at Kent State University, I can only imagine how many more of you are doing such amazing work throughout the Kent community. So thank y'all again for allowing me to share the space with you. I'm appreciative. It's good to connect in. So I thought I'd just start before I jump into the presentation. That was an amazing introduction, Todd. I appreciate it. I just wanted to also just share a little bit about myself and help kind of situate my presentation today so y'all know a little bit more about me personally before I talk about the work that I do professionally and the work that I try to do to really impact students and their success. So as Todd said, yeah, I grew up in Lorain, Ohio. So I'm a Northeast Ohio kid. I graduated from Admiral King High School, which is now known as Lorain High. So for folks that have a high school that had to change its name because schools got combined, I feel that. That's something that I personally am a little bit sad about. I just had my 10-year class reunion. So we returned back to Lorain to know that our high school is not there anymore, technically. And then after that, before I even graduated from high school, I had a pretty unique tie to the city of Kent. I actually went to the Upper Bound program when I was in high school, going into high school. So I used to take the trip from Lorain through Streetsboro, down 43, all the way to Kent every summer. So I got really familiar with, Kent, the city of Kent, and obviously Kent State University throughout my time, just as a young teenager. So that was actually like my second home for about 5.5-ish years while I went through Upper Bound and subsequent year after. And then instead of going to Kent, like a lot of my friends to go to college, I ended up going to John Carroll University. And a lot of that had to do with the time that I spent. I wrestled in high school, so I ended up wrestling in college as well. And had a really amazing experience to be a part of the Jesuit tradition. So if anybody is familiar with the Jesuit tradition of being men and women for others, so that really spurred the passion that I have currently to do a lot of the work that I am doing now because of my experience there. And then after I ended up leaving there and going to Michigan State, that's when I really solidified my passion specifically to be working with diverse populations. So I know it's one of y'all's values to really help young folks and people around understand different cultures, and how not only we are impacted by, our own cultures, both represented by where we come from, our families, traditions, but all the way across the world, right? And thinking about that international context that you are able to bring into the communities that we're in. So that's what really led me to go into, multicultural work. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that now. So, and before I'm rolling, Ty, can you all hear me okay? I just want to make sure. All right, cool, good, thank you. So many cool thumbs up. I appreciate that. I share my screen. All right, so I'm going to discuss today more about the Multicultural Center as we are situated at Kent State University, and some of the projects that I have the privilege to oversee and some of the work that I've had the pleasure to be engaged with as I've been at Kent State. But I think it's always important to really help folks understand just what we do, and then I'll talk a little bit about multicultural work in general. So we're really focused on the individual student, their cultural affirmation, empowerment of students overall, and then helping them create a sense of belonging at the institution, by connecting them to different communities that still continue to affirm the appreciation of difference, right? So at Kent State's onset, the creation of the university itself didn't quite know how to bring in different cultures in a way that supported them in all of their identities, right? So all different walks of life. And that's where offices like mine were able to come in and start to help educate the general population on what that looks like. So we serve at Kent State University our students of color. And so specifically when we say students of color, we mean our African American, Latino, Latinx, Hispanic students, our Native American and Indigenous students, as well as our multiracial students. So a student can have one or more of all those identities. All right. And when we're saying multicultural, what we're really referring to is relating or consulting through several different cultures or ethnic groups, right? So within society, especially within America, we are a multicultural nation, right? There's many different cultures within an American society. So that's the basic context of what we mean. But when we're talking about multicultural at Kent State University, it's this intentional opportunity to connect with those different cultures, right? They're not just there existing in separate silos. We're trying to pull in different experiences. We want our students to connect with students from other countries, from other neighborhoods, from other backgrounds, and share those experiences. And through that sharing, they're learning, right? They're connecting, they're building relationships, because our university is just a microcosm of what is in the general global context. So we want them to be as prepared as possible. So the next opportunity that they have after they graduate and go and be, in the world and represent us as the golden flashes we hope them to represent us as, that they have a general understanding and a foundational understanding of what the value in connecting with people from different background means. And when they're collectively working in that society, that they're making an impact in a positive way and not doing harm by saying or doing things where they're leaving out other people's experiences, right? So just to give more context to kind of where we're situated and how we're situated, myself and another full-time staff person who works in our office, I serve as a director, just as Todd said, and then I just got an opportunity to hire a new program coordinator, Shannon Ross. I'd be remiss if I didn't share that Shannon hails from North Carolina. She is a proud Tar Heel. She comes from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, but by way of Pembroke, North Carolina, and she is a member of the Lumbee tribe of North Carolina. So she identifies as an Indigenous woman. So Shannon's been a rock star since she started in December, really hit the ground running. So if you wanted to connect with our office or our staff, these are the two people that you'd be looking to connect with. All right, so I'm gonna play a quick video that kind of situates this idea of what I've been sharing around the value of difference and what that means when we're talking about it at Kent State. So I want to make sure that I have my sound optimization on. All right.
In high school, I knew I wanted to go to college, but I didn't think it was an option. Kent State actually welcomed me in with open arms. So to see that I can come here and have a community as well and be able to succeed here was amazing.
Where I'm from, Cleveland, inner city Cleveland, a lot of people don't really know what to do after high school. I just had to count on myself and be like, all right, I have deadlines to meet, I have goals to meet, so I have to do what I have to do to get here.
Kent's really special because it's like a home away from home for me, especially being multiracial and first generation. It's so humbling seeing that there's people here who get that, even if they're not from that background.
We talk about empowering our students here at Kent State, especially our students of color, and being able to empower those students really comes from helping them identify what it is about you that makes you unique and special to really help find their purpose.
The sky was the limit when I got here, and that's what they made me understand was whatever I wanted, Kent State had to offer.
We have academic diversity outreach officers in each and every college that are focused specifically on our students of color and their success.
They will help you, they will support you, they will get you through it, and you'll find your way walking across that stage in 4 years.
There's a lot here that's offered at Kent State University. The Student Multicultural Center is truly here as a place that you can come and just be you.
Having the SMC was so major because it's like when you first come, you don't want to seem like you don't know how to connect. So you kind of look for your community.
We welcome them in from day one, and then we continue to walk with them all throughout their journey.
At the SMC, like, you know that this is your home and that everyone's welcome, even if you aren't multiracial. And I think that's a great definition of a home, is when it's open for everyone.
We have so many great supportive and inclusive programs where we can all come together to celebrate our diversities, to learn from each other, understand each other, and grow with each other.
A student can come here and find a way to get involved, whether it's through our over 400 student organizations.
I got involved with some student organizations. From there, I got leadership experience and I became a better professional, and eventually it led to a graduation and a full-time position after.
Capita Transiciones is our first year orientation program for our students of color.
We get to campus early and we get acclimated to the campus and just get to know each other. It's also kind of like a rite of passage to kind of know more of our culture and things like that. Getting higher education is really expensive in a lot of places, but here, there's so many resources you can reach out to.
I got a nice award letter that allowed me to come here and not worry about financial situations that was going on back at home.
Your colleges will have scholarships. I've been able to get out of the country twice, basically for free almost.
We have students studying abroad from all different backgrounds and ways of life that go everywhere from Florence, Italy to Paris to Japan. What makes us different makes us powerful. I always tell our students, it's really easy to find something different about us, but finding the foundation of the fact that we have similarities as well. We are all golden flashes. We're all part of the Kent State University community. Starting there, then talking about our differences, I think is the most powerful piece.
Coming to Kent was one of the best decisions I made. I could come in and show people that I still have, those education resources to use. It's not proving people wrong, but showing resilience. I can bring, my background here and represent a whole community. It's really nice.
I've never once felt like I didn't belong here. I never once felt like I didn't belong with who I was. I never had to hide. I only had to be myself and enjoy being myself, which has been really awesome.
Kent State really has a community here for you that will support you financially, emotionally, psychologically. If you want to get ahead, Kent State is one of the best places to be.
So hopefully that gave some context as to just, who we are, the SMC, the students that we aim to serve. And it's really hard for me to tell my story and talk about the work that I do without being able to highlight some of the work that the students do as well and how the work impacts them. So I'm trying to find y'all again. I can't see you. So is everybody with me still good? Just give me an audible yes, because the video disappeared for some reason.
We're here.
Yeah,
awesome.
Sounds good.
Okay. Yes. Cool. So we started back in 1968. The Multicultural Center was established here at Kent State University. A lot of the work that was done came off the heels of, the different protests and demonstrations that were taking place actually right before the May 4th incident. So our Black United Student Organization helped to establish an office that would be dedicated towards meeting the needs of our Black students at the time. And then we expanded over the years to incorporate other students from other backgrounds. Oops. All right, so I'm going to talk about a few different programs just to kind of help you all understand how we are able to do the work that we do. So you heard from a student in there, Adi Ellis, who's from the Cleveland area, but she participated in Academic Stars. So the STARS program, we accept about 18 to 25 different students from all across the country. It's an academically focused program. We call it like an academic boot camp. It's for our high achieving students. Students come and they take 2 classes in the summertime. And it's the summer session 1, so it's the really fast paced course. So you can imagine graduating from high school and then your first experience with college classes on a college campus being just what we normally do in 16 weeks, we do in 5. And you don't just do that once, you have 2 classes. So these are really bright students who need to work really hard and to develop a really strong bond with each other to help guide them throughout the summer, and then the subsequent 1-week rites of passage that takes place right at the end of the summer. And it's really all around cultural enrichment. Another program that we have for our first year students is our Computer Transiciones program, which is a 4-day orientation program. This program is really fundamental in students' transition into the institution because we connect them with all the different resources that will help them in succeeding, as well as making sure that they are connected with a peer mentor who can walk with them throughout the first academic year. So it's somebody that has a similar major and some similar interests and experiences that really helps them develop throughout that time at Kent State, especially within that first year, which we know is really pivotal in helping retain our students and keep them at Kent and help them, walk towards graduation. And that's where Todd had talked about the SMC Leadership Institute. One of my passion areas is leader development, especially within our student population and helping them understand who they are as leaders and really how they can impact the community around them through their leadership experiences. So that's something that we were able to start in conjunction with this Computer Transiciones program. All right. So our Male Empowerment Network is also one of our premier programs and initiatives at Kent State University. A lot of the work that we do through the Male Empowerment Network helps students not only develop a greater sense of connection to the university and each other, but also really promotes this idea of seeking out higher goals beyond just coming to college and kind of existing, right? It's that engagement piece. So we're always finding ways to get them connected with not only the different organizations on campus, but hosting professional development nights where they're able to connect with people from different experiences in their field that can become mentors to them as they, are looking for internships and job opportunities beyond their time here at Kent State University. So for example, like right now we're doing a docuseries and we're really engaged a lot of alum that have been involved in the Male Empowerment Network with the idea of not only helping to support the students that are here, but really making this a sustainable initiative throughout the whole time that, students are throughout the whole history of Kent beyond the time that any of us will be here. All right. So Sister Circle is the kind of the other arm of our initiatives around supporting students throughout their whole time here at Kent State University. Similar to men, it is focused on not only the development of our women of color here and their experiences that they'll have, but really helping them access more opportunities. So the current USG president has been involved, our undergraduate student government body president has been involved in Sister Circle. And many students who hold leadership roles throughout the campus. We really focus on not only gaining more access for our women of color, but also empowering them to feel confident in all the spaces that they're in, where they feel they have a voice and they can share that voice. And then finally, we have one of the other things that we're known for on campus, and what we try to do to connect with even beyond our students of color, is really the whole entire student body. We provide these diversity education opportunities, everything from 1 hour sessions to 2 hour sessions to half day kind of really deep exploration around identity development, ways to support others, even if you don't identify as a person of color, if you identify as white, what that means, how you can become an ally and really use your allyship to be a support person for those around you, and really start to break down those barriers. And we're really focused on helping students graduate. I mean, that's what they come here to do, right? They come here to get a degree, and become, an alum of the university and go off and do amazing things within their communities. So we really walk with students, and hopefully you all can see, we really try to walk with students from the time after they get that acceptance letter and they're so excited to come to Kent. We really try to provide as many opportunities from that point all throughout their journey, where they're having a meaningful experience. They're connecting with people that look like them and finding allies who don't, that support their development and want to see them succeed, until they walk across the stage at what we call as Karama Yawahitimu, Celebración de los Graduados, which is our pre-commencement ceremony for our students of color. And that's everybody from earning an associate's degree at one of our regional campuses to folks who are earning their PhDs or doctorate degrees here at the Kent campus, podiatric medicine, anywhere you can think of. So that is my presentation, and I'd love to hear any questions that you all have for me about the work that I do or the work that I'm involved with at Kent, or even beyond the work that I do at Kent.
Mike, Tom Myers, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. First of all, I'm jealous.
A little bit, Tom.
I'm jealous of your beard. Number one. Number two, as a past high school and college wrestler myself, I know that you have a tremendous work ethic, because that's a sport that gives it to you. So I'm quite sure you're good at what you do. My question to you is visiting speakers. I assume you probably have such a thing, and wondered if you could give us an example of one or two of them and what they talk about.
Yeah, we've had some amazing folks come through, folks from the local community who are entrepreneurs. I don't know if anyone knows who Andre Thornton is, but he is a Major League Baseball player and a local business owner of a supply chain management and distribution company here in the Akron area. They're actually located in Mogador. Well, he came to talk with the students about his experience, not only as a professional athlete, and how that was an opportunity to not only access financial freedom that he'd never experienced before, but also the life lessons that he learned as being a professional athlete, and which led him to subsequently become an entrepreneur, where he launched this huge business that really is a global footprint for our Akron area. We've had Tim Story. If you all know who Tim Story is, he's been featured on Oprah. He's kind of this life coach of the stars. He's come in and talked about his experiences and how he got to where he is today. And then we've had just our alum who've gone on to do some amazing things and come back and talk to students about their experience at Kent and what led them into their careers. The founder of our center 50 years ago, he came back for the 50th celebration and talked to the graduates in the spring of 2019, was our keynote speaker during that time. So it was amazing just to hear that history, right? So those are just a few of the folks that I can think of off the top of my head to answer your question, Tom.
David Dix, go ahead.
Does your office deal with Asian Americans at all?
So that's a really good question, David. So we don't directly serve as in a part of our mission to serve Asian American students. However, as hopefully I conveyed this throughout my presentation is we try to serve all of our students, no matter who it is. So we've had students who identify as Asian, specifically folks who are from Alaskan Native and Pacific Islanders, who have found a space in our space in our lounge, connected with our students. But we're not set up in a way that we can really strongly support them in their identity development because it's just not a part of the work that we do. Surprisingly enough, Kent doesn't see Asian American students as a population that needs the extra support at this time. Now, I know with everything going on in the world, we recognize that we definitely need to be supporting our Asian and Asian American students. But I think it's just a means of where they can find connecting points in. So we also have a global studies office. We have an international student affairs office. We actually have two types of international student affairs office at Kent. So there are a lot of places that do support our Asian students and students who are connected to Asian descent. But our office, we have been tasked with mostly serving our African American, Latinx, Native American, and multiracial domestic students.
Thank you.
How many students do you think you impact a year?
That's a really good question. So it fluctuates, COVID notwithstanding, right? I'm guessing that's what you're asking. We've served, so we have the potential, meaning the amount of students who identify within the population that we aim to serve, about 5,000 students. It's a little north of like 4,900 students. But we probably connect with between 2,000 and 3,000 students each year throughout the various programs that we have. Everything from our initial like bridge program all the way to the things we do throughout. And then our Karamu celebration is really where we end up impacting a lot of the community because we have 2 of those per year. And that's usually over 500 students that participate in that.
Thanks, that's impressive.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Carol.
Mike, I don't really have a question, just more of a comment. I until my retirement, I was on staff at Student Legal Services at Kent State, and we would be invited to speak with the students in the Transiciones program. And I found that those to be the best audience of any student organization we would have. They were the most enthusiastic, the most engaged, and had the best questions. So I really commend you for the work that you're doing with these students.
Thank you so much, Carol, and thank you for being a resource to our students throughout the time, because it is definitely a way of liberation to understand the students understand their legal rights. So appreciate the work that you've done.
Hey, Mike, can you share some of the work that's been coming to fruition with regards to graduation rates for underrepresented students over the last several years?
Yeah, that's a great question, Todd. So I know since I've been at Kent, starting in 2015, we kind of operated with this goal to increase graduation for our students of color and our diverse students to a 65% graduation rate overall, right? So some of the things that we've done in our area and the programs that we work with, like our Academic STARS program, we have 85% graduation rate. So the students who come in through the Academic STARS program are graduating at a rate of 85% if they've been impacted by that program. Computer Transiciones is about 78%. So we've really prided ourselves on those programs. And then the Male Empowerment Network and Sister Circle are also comparable in the 70% to 80% range, depending on the year. So we recognize how important it is for our students to just be engaged, right? To find a place and a space that they feel connected and they feel a sense of belonging, and they know that they have people that support them and support their dreams and aspirations, even when it's hard and they want to give up, but they know they can come to us and connect in. Or if we don't see them for a while, like more than a week or two, we go and find where they're at, right? Because it's just those key points in a student's experience that can make the difference between them graduating or not. So So yeah, it's that personal touch that I feel like has been the most helpful in making sure that our students are earning their degrees.
Mike, how does that compare with the general graduation rate of Kent State students?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. So honestly, I know for a fact that our academic stars and our KT students are on par with the general population, if not higher most of the time. For our men and sisters circle, we're usually looking at, so if the general population is graduating at like, I think it's probably like 70, 75%-ish, depending on how you disaggregate that data, those data, you're really looking at comparable rates across the board. And that's where we've been trying to get to, is making sure that there are no glaring differences in what our students are experiencing. So that way the outcomes, right, the outputs of their experience are comparable, right? So if a student has a similar experience during the time they're here at Kent State University, they should have comparable outcomes of graduation rates. And we have seen that to be proven and true.
And Paul, to give you some clarification, and of course, Mike is the expert in this, not me. That has not always been the case. In fact, nationwide, the trend has been that our persons of color certainly don't get the support that they need to be successful or the opportunities. And so that our folks like Mike and like our international areas and global education are working with our vulnerable students, gives them an opportunity that they have not traditionally been getting. So it's really a point of pride for us that Mike is able to do what Mike is able to do, and his team.
I think we have time for one more question. I'm going to call on Doug Fuller.
Mike, I really appreciate your presentation. And this is a question about students off campus. I'm wondering how the students you deal with have found when they go off campus and come into our general community, what the reception is. We've certainly learned a lot in the last, I mean, you can see I'm a white guy, that about things maybe is so much not what we hoped it would be. And I'm wondering what your students' perception of living in Kent as a city is.
Yeah, no, that's a really great question, Doug. Honestly, and Todd's gonna have to help me out with this because I know his role allows for him to be in the community a lot more and his research as well. But I know anecdotally, a lot of our students talk about their experiences within the Kent community. It varies, I think, depending on how intentional they are at connecting in at certain points, whether if they go downtown and they're connecting in downtown, there's usually a really positive experience. But I think it starts to change a little bit where our community isn't as aware of or isn't used to seeing students from different backgrounds. And we know how influential the media can be. If you're not connected in or know people that are folks of color or from different backgrounds than yourselves, it's really easy to be influenced, especially over this past really important and divisive year of elections. We know how ugly the media can get, no matter what side you fall on, right? And I think that has spurred a lot of the ideas and thoughts and how students have been engaged in the community. But I do know that there are increasing numbers of students who are talking about their positive experiences when they go and they do service in the community, from anywhere to doing service with, the Veterans Home that's in Kent. I know some of our men and women that are in our center have done service there. At Freedom House, they've connected in with the not only the homeless shelter, but the women's shelter, into the Ravenna area. It's been a very positive experience when they're doing those types of services and connecting in. I'd love to see a little bit more of an engagement, like groups like this, where it's not just based around service, but it's really based around fellowship and community building. And then we can have some of those really engaging dialogues where our students are learning from you all and the wisdom that you have, the experience that you have of being community members in Kent, and the work that you've done. Just hearing Carol talk about the work that she's done, it would be an amazing opportunity to bring Carol back and talk about, I've been connecting with our Computer Transizione students, since whatever year she started doing that. So students can see that you all support them in their development, and you're here as a community to be connected into them and allow for them to engage with you as a community member.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Great program, Mike. As you may be aware, we have a custom of someone responding to our program. And today that is Olivia Pylon. Go ahead, Olivia.
Hey, Mike. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I just wanted to say thank you for presenting today. I didn't even realize we had these kind of resources available to our students, so I think that's really neat. And the thing that stuck with me through the presentation was really the word community, because I think having a sense of community and coming to college, which is often an unfamiliar experience for a lot of students. I mean, speaking as a first generation college student myself, it's really scary. So to find a group not only that is also going through this journey with you, but shares in the culture, I think that can be really powerful because it helps kids find a sense of comfort. And I really appreciate what you're doing. So thank you.
Thank you, Olivia. I appreciate you saying that.
All right. Well, thanks again, Mike. And this will officially end our meeting.